What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crypto Love. Unless you are brand new here, you're probably thinking, who the fuck is this guy? And you'd be right, I am not Randall. I am in fact Randall's brother. My name is Russell, and I will be starting a new series for you guys. I'm going to be doing some ICO reviews. Randy's been doing a lot of interviews and videos, and we just want to provide you guys with as much great quality content as we can. So I'm going to take part and do some ICO reviews for you. Hopefully these go pretty well and you guys get some valuable information out of it. If not, feel free to slam on that like button if you want to, or slam on that dislike button if you want to, whatever you like. But let's get into it. This is one of the top ICOs right now. It's called Ankr, and it's a cloud computing ICO. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an information and give you some of my opinions. So here we go. To start, pause this video, read this disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Investing in ICOs is inherently risky, and you should do your own research before investing in your or anyone else's money in any ICO. It's very important that you understand the risks that you're taking by investing in an ICO. So there you go. So what is Ankr? Ankr is a distributed cloud computing technology on a trusted network. So like it says here, Ankr strives to build a resource-efficient blockchain framework that truly enables cloud computing, distributed cloud computing, and provides user-friendly infrastructure for business applications. So what the hell does that mean? Basically, what they're trying to do is institute a new form of consensus, different from Bitcoin, where they're actually using something called useful work. So I'll get into that in a second, but let's just see where they are, where they were, and where they're headed. So this next one is the roadmap. They started in the end of 2017. They did their proof of concept in April 2018. Their private sale started in May 2018. That is now finished. They have released their white paper, which is available on their website. I definitely recommend you guys go out and read that. It's a very technical white paper, and some of it is way above my head, which is good because that shows that they have some people on their team who really know what they're talking about, and we'll actually get into their team a little bit later. Some of these people are very skilled in cloud computing. And right where we are now, at July 2018, we're waiting for the prototype release. It hasn't been released quite yet. I have seen a video by Blockchain Brad with a private prototype, but there's nothing that has been released to the public yet. So we'll take a look at some of that later. All right, so here's the core technology. Basically, their consensus protocol is what they call proof of useful work. So with Bitcoin, their Bitcoin consensus protocol is based on like a hashing algorithm. What they want to do is actually use useful work. So basically, applications that have calculations or computations that need to be done, those are used as consensus protocol. So those are used to create and validate blocks instead of hashing algorithms. Okay, so the other thing they're trying to do is create a truly distributed cloud computing platform. So this would be competing, their technology is basically competing with things like Amazon's Web Services and Microsoft Azure. And what they're trying to do is implement cloud computing in a truly distributed fashion. In other words, anyone connected to their network, miners per se, could really do these cloud computing tasks and be rewarded for that. So the one issue with like AWS and Microsoft Azure is that there's no incentive for people to offer up their computational power. And this is what's done by their technology, by Ankr, is they're rewarding people for computational tasks, like small ones, and also for creating blocks within the network. So we'll walk through that a little bit more in a second. Also, there's going to be a seamless interface of an Oracle service. So this is basically like allowing, business applications to interact with the Ankr blockchain directly through the use of APIs. And then they also are trying to tackle scalability with multi-chain structure. So, side chains and sharding, that kind of stuff. So let's get into this a little bit more. First of all, the one big caveat of this is that their entire structure is using Intel SGX trusted hardware. So what this does is it basically, I did have to look this up. I recommend that you guys look this up a little bit too, just so you understand how it works a little bit. It is pretty interesting. Basically, Intel makes these CPUs that use, it's called software guard extensions, I believe. And it allows user-level code to reserve private areas of memory called enclaves that are protected from access and modification by higher-level processes. And this preserves the confidentiality of sensitive code and data on remote CPU resources. So basically what this means is if I produce code, if I'm a developer and I want that code to remain in an area of a CPU where other people with higher level access, such as the root user, cannot access that information, these CPUs are designed within the hardware to allow that to happen. This is very actually important for the distributed cloud computing technology, because what's going on here is multiple people will be accessing the same CPUs in order to process data. And in doing so, because it is a distributed network, there are people all over the world, these miners like you and I, if we had this chip and we were running on the blockchain, we have physical access to that hardware. Like I am not AWS, I'm not Amazon, so I can't provide the security. I mean, it's a trust network. So this trusted hardware provides the trust for developers so that they can trust, their code is not being messed with maliciously, either by the miners themselves or by other people using that CPU processing power at the same time. So again, little complex. Definitely go ahead and research this a little bit more if you're interested in it. It's pretty cool how this all works. I will note one other thing. While I did do research on this, I did find some information about people who have cracked some of the encryption that is used on this hardware. So like anything else, nothing is entirely safe. But I do believe that within the white paper, they have explained some ways that they have separated this trusted hardware, these enclaves, from network access altogether. So that should solve some of those issues. So again, proof of useful work. So this is consensus based on useful work instead of hashing algorithms such as those used on Bitcoin. So basically, the consensus is based on tasks that are inputted by users, like for business applications and so forth. And this is designed basically to increase efficiency. So right now, Bitcoin uses a ton of energy on wasted computations, on basically wasted computations of hashing. So basically, they're going to make use of idle computational power and provide incentives for both computational contributors and block creators. So if your CPU is being used for portions of a computation or for creating new blocks on the blockchain, you will get rewarded for both of those transactions there. Again, SGX enabled CPUs provide security for true decentralized computing via a trusted execution environment. So again, basically, there's trust built into the hardware itself. And then this allows for distribution of large tasks to be split among many resources and run in parallel, cutting down on processing time. So what this means is basically you can have a massive amount of data that is processed by hundreds or thousands of miners or these CPUs at one time, and you can split up that processing power over the internet, and the processing time will be minuscule compared to running all of that data through one supercomputer, because it's all run in parallel instead of having to run like one task at a time. And then they're going to have this seamless Oracle service. So this will enable real-world business adoption through standardized APIs that interact with smart contracts. So basically, the Oracle service will interact with business APIs and smart contracts in a number of different languages, and then be able to execute these smart contracts on the Ankr blockchain. And then finally, they're going to be using plasma sidechains and sharding for scalability. So, each application can use a different sidechain and then interact with the main chain separately so that it's not bogged down like Ethereum or some of the other platforms out there. So as of right now, there is no prototype that's publicly available, which to me is like a big red flag. However, I did watch a video with Blockchain Brad where he went to their offices and they displayed a sort of private prototype. It was not a very detailed video, so I would like to see something like that. I know the crowd sale is coming up soon, so it would be nice to see that sooner than later. But I know, this is very, very technical computing software, and I can understand how this might take some time to build a prototype of this. So they have said that the prototype should be coming out July 2018, so that's right now. So hopefully we'll see something pretty soon. As far as their team, they have a large team, but their team mainly consists of the three guys that you see on the left here. Chandler Song, Stanley Wu, and Ryan Fang. And Chandler Song and Ryan Fang, it seems like they went to UC Berkeley together. They're both into business, statistics, and a little bit of computer science. And then they also worked with Stanley Wu. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with this. I know people are probably going to poo-poo all over me for saying this, but both Chandler Song and Ryan Fang have listed on their LinkedIn that they are serial entrepreneurs. I don't doubt that's true. I do kind of, actually, but there's just no evidence out there, and they're both very young. They just graduated from college. They don't have a long history of working in they have worked for some great companies, including Amazon, but all of their experience is like very short. It's like under a year. And there's just nothing I could find out there that had any information about their previous entrepreneurial endeavors. So while that's probably not very important, I just don't understand why you would list that if it's not true or if there's nothing to back it up. Having said that, they both have a very good history of working for some huge name companies in both cloud computing and related computing, computer software, computer engineering type fields. And they're also both have some experience with in like business programs. So they seem to be doing well so far. That just like got to me with the whole serial entrepreneur thing. So having said that, Stanley Wu is by far the most like killer person on their team that I saw. He has 10 years of experience working for AWS. So he has 10 years of experience working in cloud computing. So, I mean, if he was to choose one blockchain project, one ICO project, this would be the one. So I think they are stacked as far as their team is concerned, given that Stanley doesn't quit. But I don't think he will. He was a co-founder. I think they all work together to to, you know, build this idea and make a more efficient blockchain for cloud computing. So he definitely has a ton of experience. And then Song Lu also has a ton of security experience, which I think is really great. He worked for Gigamon, which is a huge IT security company for a number of years. So he also has a ton of experience in security. And I think the two of them together can work wonders in terms of what they're trying to do with Ankr. And then the advisors, on the far left, we have David Anderson, who is, he's been in computer science teaching for a number of years. He has a ton of inventions under his belt. He's worked on volunteer computing projects and created some of them. In other words, he's created platforms where people can share their computing power, which is exactly what Ankr is trying to do here. Also, Jay-Z here, CEO of PDX Technologies, working on Hyperledger, and then Crystal Quek, involved, you know, creator of Bolt and involved with Zilliqa as well. So some really good advisors here. I think, you know, with these advisors paired with the team, they really do have something going for them. I have to admit, at first I was a little kind of wary about this blockchain, this ICO, and wondering why they were getting so much hype and so much notoriety. And after looking a little bit deeper into some of the big players that they have on their team and advisors, I can see why. I would like to see a little bit more from the team, though, in terms of like prototypes and just information out there, because you really do have to dig to find some of this information about the team. Having said that, one of the other reasons why I do like this project is that it's backed by Neo Global Capital. That's one of their strategic investors, and they do have quite a list of them, of, you know, big name investors as well. So, you know, I trust in these investors. However, I would like to see you know, the evidence for myself as well. So the token metrics. Basically, they're looking to raise $16 million, which will be about 30% of the supply, giving a total valuation about $53 million, which that's great. I mean, that's a very low number for ICOs, even in this like somewhat bear market that we're in still. I know it's bullish, but you know, we were just in a bear market for a while. So that is a reasonable number, and I think they can do a lot with that. They're not really, they have come out and said, like, we're not trying to take over AWS or anything like that, but they do want to start something that can grow in the future. And $16 million will absolutely be able to do that for them. So pros and cons. Pros, they will be making a very efficient use of the blockchain, and that's like one of their main goals is to you know, make their blockchain energy efficient. There is a huge waste in, you know, Bitcoin because we're doing these difficult hashing algorithms that use a lot of energy and computational power, and that's the only purpose that they're serving is as a payment platform. Also, secure cloud computing. I think that's something that, you know, we will be using and already are using to a massive extent, and it's only going to grow in the future. And also the scalability, using side chains and sharding. If they can implement that, then that will definitely go to their benefit. Finally, the cons here. One of the big things that I think is a con is that given that miners must use the Intel SGX chips, it may limit adoption of miners because you have to have a specific type of hardware in order to participate. However, you know, maybe people, given like the types of rewards that they may get from executing these computations, it may be worthwhile to just buy the chip because these are going to be most likely lower difficulty computations than what we're seeing in like Bitcoin right now. And then finally, the last con is that there's no public prototype, and that's just a huge one. I mean, we need a proof of concept. We need to be able to see that this is going to work. And I think once we have something in front of us that you and I can use, and just see that it, you know, the idea can become something real, you know, they're going to get way more adoption as far as investment. All right, so the token sale, it is an ERC20 token. Like I said, they're selling about 30% of that. I was just on their Telegram today. Their whitelist starts Sunday, July 29th. That's this Sunday. And unfortunately, it's not available for US citizens. So finally, I would recommend that you do your research. This is a very brief overview. I am not a cloud computing expert. I did read a lot about this, but it's very confusing, a lot of it. And that's, to me, that's a good thing. It's not confusing like it's hard to read. It's confusing like it's above my head a little bit. So I would recommend reading the white paper. There's a lot of great information in there. And then finally, if you are interested in this, definitely watch the private prototype video and interviews with the co-founders by Blockchain Brad. He does an excellent job of interviewing them and really digging down to like their inspirations, their qualifications, and really where they're going with this project. So if you are interested in investing in this, I would definitely watch those first and read through the white paper, because you will get tons of information. Finally, if you guys are interested in this, also their Telegram channel is like the best way to contact them. They're very quick. So just reach out to them through there, and I'm sure they can answer any of your questions. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching if you've made it to this point. This is the first ICO review that I've done, besides, I guess, one other I did. So this is the second one. I will be doing probably 1 to 2 per week in the future. But I want input from you guys. So if you like this, if you think it sucked, let me know. I don't care what you think as far as like if it's good or bad. I want to know what you thought, what you'd like to see more of or less of. And if you guys are interested in having me review a particular ICO, let me know. Write it down in the comments there, and I will pick one of your ICOs to review. All right. Thank you again for watching, and see you on the next one. Peace.